Travis Rice here with the Orca Breakdown. This board has literally changed the way I snowboard. The past few years, onlining this board has been a really cool experience. This was a really difficult board to make. It took several years working with the brilliant minds and craftsmen at Mervin Manufacturing to bring this board to fruition. The inspiration with this board was there's a time and a place for a fish, a short-tailed snowboard. It's more maneuverable in tight spaces. It makes riding deep snow easier. It's fun to be on a hyper-directional snowboard that's often a little bit wider and shorter. You get a little more wiggle. It's a fun experience. Long gone is the day of the 190 for those deep days, or for riding AK. Maneuverability, you want performance. And so the fish came into popularity, and I've ridden a bunch of fish, a bunch of different type of fish snowboards. The biggest problem with the fish is that they're just gutless. They don't have much to them. That short tail, it's missing something. It's missing a performance component. It's missing a shock absorber. It's missing the ability to power out of a situation or ollie. You can't ollie a fish. There within lies the journey that became the Orca. We wanted to make a board that was not your gutless fish. And it all came down to really trying to design the right type of tail. And so, we looked at and modeled a lot of different, kind of surface area comparisons around how much tail is the right amount of tail. How do we still retain the feeling and maneuverability and joy of riding fresh snow as a fish, where you don't have to lean back and you have that fun maneuverability, but you still get enough of a tail to be able to crack an ollie, absorb an impact, do a power hack, come out of a turn with inertia. And so this is where whale tail technology was birthed. It took some iterations to figure it out, to get it right. This was a difficult thing to create, and for manufacturing as well, putting in this kink and this kind of skate tail. But through and through, this is the design that just won out, and it is such a fabulous snowboard. The compliments that we get on when people ride this thing for the first time, it's super impressive. And we've had this for a number of years. You get the questions of like what's new? What have you changed on the Orca? And the answer is we've tried to change this several times and keep coming back to the fact that this is such a incredible design that we don't have a better version of this. We've tried them and they're not as good. So this is the Orca board in all its glory. Generally speaking, I ride this board a bit shorter than my regular board. With the Orca, you get a little bit more width and a little less toe and heel drag. The thing that I think I love about this board the most is this is probably my favorite crappy day board. If it's chunky, chundery, variable snow conditions, hasn't snowed in 3 weeks, there's moguls, this is the board that I want, because it has a really tight radial side cut. I think it's a 7-meter side cut, which means it is a carving powerhouse. Being able to put, I think, more pressure on a shorter area along this modified magnet traction edge, you were just able to lay so much energy into this board when you carve. It really is. This is a bank slalom board. This is, for trying to gouge tight seas underneath the chairlift. So I think the reason this board has been so successful and so well received is the fact that not only is it an apex predator in POW, it also is my go-to regular daily driver board, or hey, conditions suck, but it's still really nice to get outside and go ride with friends. This is the board I'll take. To give a reference, I'm 5'11", about 190, and say a T.Rice Pro, I'll ride a 161, right? In the Orca, I'll ride a 153. I think people often are like, really, that short? That short of a board? Yeah, I mean, this has quite a bit of surface area. I think the 153 is about a 161 T.Rice Pro when it comes to comparing surface area of the snowboard. It's got a nice long floaty nose. A floaty nose that has good flex, however we've reinforced this a bit. I think one of the problems that you'll see with a lot of fish type directional boards is they have a nose that it's too flimsy, and you go to carve and it folds on you, or you land or do, you're riding high speed in POW and the nose folds on you, which just takes you right over the bars. So this has a nice floaty nose, reinforced but not too stiff. This still has a C2 base profile, so you've got your rocker right here in between the feet. You've got a bit of camber from front foot out into a long floaty POW nose, and then you've got the whale tail technology, which is hyper camber from the back foot down to this kick tail. And the kick tail, A, it's for style, but B, it also works well because even though this board is not built for going switch, sometimes you're gonna get turned around. Sometimes you're gonna do a big, lofty 180 and then realize halfway through the air that you're on an Orca and you can still land. Not ideal, but it works. It'll get you there. I also get a lot of questions about sizing, right? People are always trying to figure out the sizing on this. Generally, I'm telling people to size down. I can ride the 150. Like the 150 for me is a really fun resort board. I mean, usually 53 is my size. I will ride a 156 on, a deep POW day. The 156 is also a good board that I ride on my quiver, so I'm kind of 53 to 56. And the steeper it gets, the shorter board I want to be on. Because, generally, why do you ride a large board? It's for being able to keep speed and keep momentum and keep your board up. But when you're on really steep terrain, like speed's not the problem. Oftentimes it's, maneuverability and you're not looking for more speed. That's why I size down. Like when I ride really critical, finger spines and stuff in AK, like I want a maneuverable board that I'm able to place, my turns, not white room myself out, and be able to recover and respond. And that's why I ride a 153 up in AK, like straight up. 156, I'll ride like just deep snow, POW day, side country. There's been some times I ride 159 and normally it's like, a super deep resort day that it's not really steep. Or in Japan when it's choking deep. But generally 53 is my resort board. One of the favorite things about LibTech boards, Mervin boards, graphics. So I worked with a fellow named Andrew Schoultz, probably almost a decade ago, for a board that I made at the beginning of our 4th phase film project where I cold contacted this guy because I'm such a fan of his art. I mean, follow him on Instagram, you'll be blown away by the stuff that he does. We wanted to collaborate on a board. I kind of painted him this picture of what we were going to be dealing with riding some of the Pacific Rim during the making of that film. This was one of my favorite board graphics to date. I hit him back up and said, hey, like, let's get together. Like the Orca is now a line that takes quite a bit of my attention. And with our partnership at the Orca Conservancy, really wanted to do something special this year with the Orca line. I mentioned the Orca Conservancy. This is a fantastic organization that we've worked with for a number of years now. We're really proud to be able to offer what we can, both awareness and especially a bit of proceeds from the sales of this board to their incredibly important work. They're focused on essentially trying to save the Salish Sea southern resident killer whale population, which literally passes in front of Mervin manufacturing. If you want any more information, go to orcaconservancy.org and know that you go rip this board. With the purchase of it, you're supporting this organization. The goal with these boards is to keep them as light as possible, but you still need them resilient and tough enough to take the abuse that we put into these. I literally think of a snowboard as my shield, literally. Anytime there's a rock, tree, ski, like this is what you are protecting yourself, life and limb. And you need these things built tough. The core of this is roughly 60% aspen, 40% paulownia wood, which is awesome because Paulownia is incredibly fast growing and a very sustainable source for wood. The exciting component with the range, Orca size range, is last year we added the 144 and we also beefed up the 162 for all you Shreks out there. And this year we've gone a bit further and we now have the Shorka, She-Orca, or the little He-Orca, down to 138, which is epic because I think for a woman's board, the small orcas are incredible. It's iconic. This is the Orca.